7:18. I'm going to call the Wednesday, November 20th, 2024 meeting of the Westborough Public Library Board of Trustees to order. I have no idea if, since this is technically a hybrid meeting, if I need to read the blurb, but according to the Acts of 2020, Acts 2 or 20? Is it there?
Yeah.
Oh, yay, see, nice. Thank you. So I think I have to read this. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted via remote means, and any member of the public that wishes to access the meeting may do so by following the Zoom link posted in our agenda. No in-person attendance of the members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so for reasons of economic hardship and despite our best efforts, we will post on the Westborough Public Library website an audio or video recording, transcripts, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. This meeting is being recorded. Welcome, everybody. So we're going to start off with public forum. Seeing none, I'm going to move on to the director's report.
Hi, it's nice to see you. It feels like it's been a very long time. Okay, so I'm going to run through this quick because it's kind of a long report, only because it's like 2 months worth. Put your standard statistics in there. I thought a really interesting track change was that 2 of our busiest hours in these last 2 months were both on Saturday. And I think that just kind of proves what we already know to be, which is that Saturday is our most loved hours. And so really trying to do our best to make sure that we have adequate staffing on those days for the volume that we're seeing. Hot spots were number 1 circulated. This period of time, they were 5th last time if you were keeping track. That was interesting as well. Some budget updates. Obviously, we are squarely in budget season. The process of it, very early on in it. We have submitted a preliminary budget. We are working on our budget narrative, which is due next week. Or should they live working on it? And I'm going to add my stuff after.
Cheering her on.
Yes. I've had a meeting, and actually Kate Daly attended with me, to kind of go over it with our portion of our budget with the town manager and the finance director. And so we've done that portion of it. One of the things that we had talked about is doing a budget presentation in December for you guys, but that's not something that kind of has ever happened. And so I think it would be really helpful to do a really in-depth budget presentation for this group so you understand what all those lines are, what we're going through and what we're asking for, and what the implication of getting or not getting the things that we're asking for means in terms of service. So I think we're eyeing that for a December meeting, so we'll make sure that that happens. We're also in the middle of a scheduling overhaul. We've been talking about this since day 1, but we are closer than ever. We sat down to many very intensive meetings, Lynn and I, now that we know what's going on with my next staffing update. We had some changes in some staffing. Tony Baker resigned effective 11/7. We did know it was coming. We worked really hard with Tony to figure out the plan moving forward. So with that position exiting, it gave us a really good opportunity to reassess the rest of our schedule and be really mindful of how we're using our staff to the best. Again, to this comment about our Saturdays being our busiest, making sure that we have enough people there. So we also have bought a new scheduling software, which is called Group Staffer. It's by SpringShare. We're actually investigating a number of their softwares because CW Mars just recently entered an agreement with them where we get a discount, which is wonderful. And so we're kind of in the middle of assessing that. But we have gotten to a place where we're really confident with where our staffing is going to be and with minor changes to certain people's existing schedules. So we're excited about that work to start. So there's that. And I touched on Tony. I want to speak a little bit more about him just because he has had such an impact on this library, and the work that he's done is level of work that I've never seen in any other library local history collection. It is so impressive what he was able to accomplish in 10 years here. We are so excited that he is staying close. I will tell you, we had many meetings with him about how can we continue to have you involved in the projects that do feed the passion in you, and that you can still help us with. So we have a number of projects going on that he's going to remain close in helping us with. He's also agreed to stay on as a consultant and to do training when we need him. And so we've got a plan in place, and he spent a lot of time assisting Tracy Grant, who is our adult services librarian, so that she can continue to kind of be a steward of that collection and make sure that patrons still have access, and work super closely with the local organizations in town who impact local history to make sure that we don't lose anything in this transition. And so one of the things that we did was we were able to go to the select board and get approval to take Tony's 16 hours at a librarian level and get that regraded to 2 12-hour library assistants. And our goal with that move was to ensure that we could get desk coverage to allow our librarian level staff to get off the desk more to do these things we've asked them to do. So if we're saying, Tracy, make sure that we're doing local history programming and that we're doing partnerships, I have to make sure that she has time to do that. And so this was kind of a creative way to make sure that we were doing that not only for her and her position, but our other librarian level staff as well. So that was unanimously approved by the select board, and I also did, we had a discussion with Mary before we did anything in terms of that plan as well. So excited about that. We're going to get those jobs posted as soon as we can. That one. Had an amazing kindness week. What a cool thing that Westborough does. I mean, I just thought it was really, really neat. Coming in every day and seeing new stuff at the library was really amazing. And I just pulled out one particular event that I thought was really sweet, which was Jen, our team librarian, who worked really hard on this intergenerational night of fun, called in so many favors to get people of all ages and backgrounds together for just a really fun event at night. And it ended up being a great turnout and just an awesome event. So I'm excited to see what next year looks like, but my first experience with Kindness Week in Westborough, I was just blown away. Another update. Trying not to just like hammer these down, but really exciting. So mini golf at the library, we've done this for the last couple of years in partnership with the Friends. This year is going to be a little bit unique and a really cool partnership. So I've had a few meetings now with our foundation. So Maureen Johnston, and our Friends group. So Shannon from our Friends, who's kind of leading that. And we're going to partner together to make it a real fundraising event. So the Friday night event will be adults only, 21 plus, full fundraiser, getting sponsors for every hole, like really looking at our building repair project, our capital needs, and making it a fun event for people to come to experience the library at night in a cool setting where you want to be there, and also raise money. And then the next day, the Saturday, will be a free family event because the course will already be up. It's kind of similar to how we've done it before, where the Friends are really going to be running that show. And a great opportunity for families to come down and just have fun here the next day. So we are actively working on that. I have a meeting Monday to nail down some of those pieces. I've also, worked with some other partners. I worked with in other libraries, other foundations who have generously given me all of their information that they use. So I think we've got a really solid foundation to start fundraising and start reminding people that we have a foundation and that we're going to do fundraising. So there's that. I'm excited about that. So save the date. It's January 31st and February 1st.
I want to jump ahead a little bit. If you would like me or building committee people here to just answer questions or talk or whatever, you should call us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think like having a booth or a hole or something so that there's active discussion about it. I think the timing of it is beautiful. In terms of town meeting, so I'm really excited about the prospect of that. Okay, yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great if everybody could come. So space improvements. This is all. I think you're always going to be seeing this standing director's report agenda item. We made a couple of improvements to our existing spaces. So if you haven't walked around in the adult area, you might notice a couple of small changes. I'm also working with the foundation to fund a couple of different things just in terms of like the tables and we just move them out and we almost take out our staff members with it. So we're getting something that we can use here that we can also use in temp space and also use when we reopen. So we painted the pink bookshelf in the adult area that really caused some issues for me. And the circulation desk a navy blue. And so they really blend in. Honestly, painting that pink shelf made the biggest difference. I feel like it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb anymore. So if you haven't noticed it, go see it. We've also updated some signage in that area on the bookshelves. Caitlin Staples worked on that. It looks amazing. We moved, I think we confused a lot of people. We moved the DVDs out of the entranceway, the foyer, whatever you want to call that, the main circ area, and moved them in with the rest of the media. So they are now kind of in those first shelves. All the media is together. Imagine that. And the DVD area is now the open hold shelf, which has really worked out well in terms of people not being confused and just taking their books and walking out, knowing that they have to check them out and having staff there to help. So it's been super positive. It also gives us more room for our hold shelf, which was needed.
And we don't have to use the big yellow green bins anymore because I have left without my books sometimes, not realizing that they're in a bin on the floor.
Yeah.
So this is good.
We're going to try this. I think a lot of what we're trying is this proof of concept before we are in the new space and we're stuck with something as is. So if we can try this and see if it works, then it's something that we can do later. But we might try something and it fails and we have to go back. And that's okay. We will have tried it. So now where the old holds were, you will notice that that is now the new books, and it gives us a lot more space for the new material, which means we can now keep items in new for longer, which is really helpful because once it drops off of new, it goes into the main collection, and unless you're looking for that specific book, you're not going to find it. It's not browsable anymore. And so really it's helpful for us to keep as many books in new status as possible. And so this gives us a little more space to do that. And then where new used to be is now breakout. So we're still kind of toying around with what that might look like, but just wanted to mention that we're trying some things. If you have suggestions, let us know. We are just looking for small ways to improve usability of the space in looking at temp space and forever space post-repair. Okay, let's take a break from me talking. The next is a show and tell that I have prepared for you, which is, we have been circling these for about a year.
Yeah.
About a year.
A year and a half, sorry.
Year and a half.
Yeah, year and a
Okay.
half.
Yes, June. Yeah. These are called Tony boxes. You guys all know what they are.
I've heard of them, but I don't know.
Okay, so Lynn was right. I should do a show and tell. She's like, you need to do a show and tell. And I was like, okay. So this is basically an audio player for children. And what's great about these is A, it's soft. B, there's two buttons, only two, and they're tactile buttons. So when you have a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, it's tempting to throw them in front of an iPad, but they also can't figure out how to use it, right? And so they're coming, I know this from real life, they come over and say, oh, I need this show, you have to put the show on for me, and I'm trying to cook, and I can't, and it's just too much. So this is something they can use independently, which is wonderful. It's also screen-free, which is also a positive. We have little headphones if you don't want them to be loud, but also play like a speaker. And our base kits, which we have 6 of, will come with characters. They'll all be the same, just different colors. So you just get in line for it, whatever one you get, they're all the same. And then this is something that I did in my last library that was super successful that I thought would be here is instead of only, so the way we circled them before, let me back up. The way we circled them before was in 4 individual kits that each had different characters. And so if you took one kit out, but you wanted the other character, you then had to wait for the other kit to be available and get that. We're doing it a little differently in that we have our base kits that are all the same, and then we have all of our figures individual. So, individual. So this one is Disney's Encanto, right? And if this is the one I want, I check it out on its own. gifts in the car, which is great. And our boxes will work with any of our figures that we've purchased, and we have a collection of about 115 of them that will independently serve on their own. These are also great if families already own these boxes, which are more and more popular, and I'm sure come Christmas, which is why I'm pushing for us to be done by Thanksgiving, come Christmas, many families will have new ones and new figures. And so a way to come to the library, borrow what you want. I will say these go for about $20 independently, which is a lot. You know, if you're buying 5 for your kid, you're looking at $100. It's a ton of money to invest in an already kind of expensive tool. We don't pay that much. We have a special program, so don't worry about that. But also a way to get access to these. If you're a family who either can't afford one or don't have one, you can still use one and experience it like any other kid. You can get access to audiobooks. We bought a ton of like literacy-based ones. Things like Make Way for Duckling, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, which one?
Pigeon.
Pigeon, oh yeah, the Pigeon. We bought 2 of those ones because I think that's going to be popular. But they're also like, they have ones that are about, this one's about dinos, that one's about whales. And so really key to our mission in terms of literacy and learning being at the key of it. Also just a way to get kids away from screens for a little bit.
Is this in the library things or are these in the children's room?
These are going to be in the children's library things, which will exist in the children's room. Well, we're not quite there yet, but we did, it will have its own display. And so
But it'll be physically in the children's room.
physically in the children's room, there'll be basically like a peg wall. They'll all be hanging. They're labeled by age recommendation. So you can say to your kid, oh, you can only pick from the orange ones, right? Because those are the only ones that are going to be appropriate for your age range. So we're excited to see how this goes. It was really popular in my last library. It'll be interesting to see how Westborough does with it. There's just another way to kind of experiment with the things that we offer.
And I'm sorry, what is the content?
So the content of these is all different. So some are songs, some are books, some are entertainment based. So we have one that's just lullabies. We have another one that's all about yoga. We have another one that's calm.
What is it called again?
So they're called Tony, T-O-N-I. Yeah. So they range in what's in them and how long they are. So there'll always be something for someone.
Is this the kind of content that citizens could donate?
To donate?
Yes.
You can donate anything.
Well,
Go for it, Mike.
and some of them might.
So I will say one of the complicated factors, because we are circling the boxes, is that we have to load all of the data onto each of our boxes so that they can circulate without Wi-Fi, because they aren't designed for libraries, right? They're designed for independent households. There's another product out there called a YOTO, Y-O-T-O, which is for older. It has an older SKU, and there are cards that go in. We're trying to figure out a way to also circ those because there's a lot more audiobooks. Like they just released the whole of the Harry Potter series on that, and they're much smaller footprint, but you have to kind of figure out how to deal with the whole preloading data onto it with the SIM card that's small. So we're working on that. And this is going to be our proof of concept model for that project as well. It's fun, right?
This is a great idea.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. You can pick out what you want.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. I mean, it's the Christmas season. They're really selling it hard. Here we go.
I mean, is this something you can get at Target,
Yep.
Learning Express?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, they sell them pretty much everywhere. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes, and we'll keep you updated once we launch with numbers and statistics on how it's going and how we're doing, so we can measure success of the project.
Excuse me. So instead of going to Target to buy it, couldn't we just make a donation to you since you get a discount on them and you can get more?
We could. I think we will. So these count as materials within our materials budget. So we just factor it into our collection. And so any donations we get towards our collection, we can absolutely put towards any of these projects. And I think we will eventually look to gain more. So again, complicated piece is if we buy, so say a month from now we buy 10 more, we now have to wait for all 6 of our boxes to come back, load them before we can serve those. And it's doable. We have like a workflow in place, but we'll probably look quarterly, probably for additions to the collection.
How much are the boxes? $10.
So I think retail they go for about $100. Again, we get a really good discount through their educator fund. They really are great at working with libraries. Yeah.
Can we curate, can we curate a set of boxes, sets of contents?
So that's kind of how we're doing it now. Is we have a box that has like stories only. We have a box that has this type of thing only. We could. So the benefit to doing it individually, not only is that the patron gets to choose exactly what they want instead of getting 4, like some libraries will do princesses, and it's 5 princesses in a container. The other statistical reason to do it separately is that group of 6 princesses is 1 circ. But if I'm getting all 6 separate, that's 6 circs. And you want credit for what you're circing, right? So this gives us a better, more accurate read on what people actually are using and wanting. But we can definitely, we can put together stuff. We can do displays with them and merchandise them really interestingly with the new display that we got for them. There's a lot of opportunity here, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that. And then just kind of the last thing, well, branding basically is ongoing. We have a training in place on the 2nd of December. It says 5th, but it is the 2nd of December. I don't know why I'm stuck on 5th. 2nd of December, I have a library marketing professional coming to do a training for our staff on branding, brand voice, social media tools, best practices, the gamut. So that'll be good. And then again, Friday, December 13th is our staff development day. We're still building our curriculum for that day. We have a couple of really good ideas. We're hoping to do some staff-led training. We just did a staff-led training this week. Joanne Chandler from our circulation department did trainings on staff on First Amendment audits, and it was really well received. She did an awesome job. Like, it was great. She did her one today. So really trying to do some staff-led trainings on some different items, but again, the only confirmation we have is Jason Homer, Executive Director of the Worcester Public Libraries, will be coming to do a workshop on storytelling and advocacy in the morning hours. So more to come on the plan for them.
Any questions on our director's report? Thank you for your hard work. We appreciate it. Next up on our agenda is library repair project update. Hey, that's you.
So, to start, the building committee made a few decisions that I'm going to tell you about. One is, all these are they're called value engineering. It's the idea you do some engineering to get more value by changing things without decreasing the cost, to decrease the cost without increasing functionality. So the biggest one is for the roof. We're going to replace all the slate up there with new slate. And it turns out we could save $200,000 by using synthetic slate instead. So we're going to do that. It'll be the same approximate bed color. It'll last 50 years instead of 100 plus. But $200,000 buys you a lot of years. This
Last 50 years longer and save $200,000.
No, it'll last 50 years less.
Oh,
versus
Yeah.
100.
But,
Oh.
yeah, but you know, 50 years
Half
from
the
now,
time. Got
to my mind, planning 100 years out is kind of a fool's game. So, we're not going into it. You may know some of this stuff already. My timeline's, but we got approval to not build the ADA accessibility ramp out the front, so we can save roughly $500,000 and not mess up the historical facade of the building, both of which we think too late. There's other things that we've done to cut costs. Overall, those changes have pulled about $450,000 out of the construction cost of the building.
Wow.
And that's probably all we're going to get from the building itself. Yeah, I've talked to one of the previous library opponents, they seem to be pretty happy with the way the costing is going.
So how much was the total, did you say?
Okay, our construction cost estimate, this is just an estimate. We don't know the real cost until we get the bids, but the estimate at this point is about $9.5 million. And that's, the construction cost is everything that goes into making the building. The total project cost is actually about $14.2 million. And that includes architect's fees, OPM fees, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, legal, a lot of things that aren't, physically part of the building, and not workers putting the building together, which is right in line with what we were saying last March. We are on track to get the design finalized in December and have it out for bid in early January, and therefore have bids back in time for town meeting in March, which has been our goal for 2 or 3 years now, I think. So that's the overall. One of probably our most burning issue right now is the housing, where to put the library, temporary space. It became clear from talking to town government and some residents that, let me fix up some of this. A few months, 6 or 7 months ago, we said we would like to use the community center for that space, and the town government would not commit to that. So we went out and requested proposals for rental properties in Westborough. And so that request for proposal has went out. We got one bid, and it is for 40 Washington Street, which is on the far side of 495 from here. And the requested rent is approximately $600,000 for the 18 months. So there's a lot of reasons we don't like that. One is it's way the heck away. One is it's expensive. That's a higher rate per square foot than typical for commercial space around here. Well, those are the 2 big reasons. $600,000 for 18 months, approximately. Simultaneously with getting that bid, we started hearing from the town government, the select board, and so on, that, well, weren't we going to use the community center? And so we said, we responded, well, we want to use the community center, but you couldn't promise it to us, so we got it. So we looked at plan B. But the select board met to discuss library issues last night, so we were there. Exciting meeting, well, sort of.
Until what time?
10:30.
10:30, yeah. It went for a while.
It was great on TV too.
Yeah.
Wow, Sam, I was trying to look at that before I left the house back at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it's almost what you
It was on 28 last night? Where was the soccer game? The other one was?
It was streaming.
On YouTube.
I suddenly realized yesterday that I didn't have to come too early because I could just watch it on TV,
Yes.
and when they were getting close to the time they were going to come up, I should go over. And I did that, and it still took an hour before they got.
They weren't on our schedule.
Yeah, it often runs long. Sometimes it runs short. But anyway, the impression I have, and those of you here can back me up on this or not, but the select board really wants us to use the community center. They don't want to spend $600,000 for that. The details aren't clear. There's sort of 3 areas where we might be. One is the second floor, which is really too small and hard to access. One is the front of the first floor, which would be ideal from our perspective, but that's where the senior center is going to go. So if we were in there, something would have to be done with the seniors. Something happens to happen with the senior center's plans. And the third option is the back of the first floor, which would give us enough space, but and would let the senior center construction proceed. But you'd have to have something between us and the construction site. And you need ADA access. It can't go through the construction site, so we'd have to build a ramp on what is now a loaded dock. So clearly from our perspective, going in the front would be the best option. But the select board has to think about the rec department's needs and the community center's needs and other funding issues. If they were to push back the rec department, it would cost almost as much as the rent if we went out somewhere. So they feel like that's kind of a wash. They did not make a decision. There's going to be a walkthrough of the building on December 3rd in the morning. And we will be there, Kate, myself, and probably several building committee members, and some of our consultants. The rec department will be there, a bunch of town departments will be there. It'll be a crowd, I think, wandering around in this building. But so that'll be December 3rd in the morning. The building committee will meet December 3rd in the afternoon, and the select board will meet December 3rd in the evening. Hopefully, after that meeting, we'll have a defined path forward, because we really need it at this point in order to do things. So, yeah, so that's the status there. Kate is working with our OPM Vertex to identify library relocation services. There's several in the state. They operate in the state. I don't know if you're ready to give details at this point. Okay. And we also need to, so we need to do a formal request for proposal for that with enough time for the proposal to come back. And we'll need to do a request for proposal for whatever fit out we need to do in the library. And putting in shelves, making offices, having a conference room, bringing in chairs and tables. It'll be a long list, and I don't know what's in it. But we'll need to have a very quick plan for that and we'll get it done, because we want to have it. We'll start after town meeting, assuming town meeting votes for the project, and get it done within 2 months.
What is being done with the senior center on Rogers Road at this time?
Nothing at this moment is happening to the senior center. We are planning for what the senior center will look like in the community center. And then once that's decided, built, and they move the senior center, then they will look to sell the current senior center.
Okay, so they want to sell
They
that.
want to sell it
building.
to help
They don't want
offset the costs. They don't want to keep it as a town building, and they want to sell it to help offset the costs of the construction project at the community center.
All right.
Other temporary space questions? A couple other, probably less important things. Parking for the construction project has always been an issue. We've been, as you probably know, in negotiations with the Congregational Church for more than a year about the use of their lot. That is still ongoing. Christy's going to try and clean it up this year. The building committee, have been talking to her about what we need there. But that negotiation is not done by any means. However, St. Luke's was kind enough to just offer us use of their lot. Not on Sunday, not when there's funerals, not on holy days. And that will take an awful lot of the pressure off in terms of having the work we parking here. So I would like to suggest that the trustees find a way to thank St. Luke's, maybe with a letter now, and when the building project comes up, do something physical in the library. Assuming we can do that without violating separation of church and state. Things like that. But, so anyway, if we can write a letter, and I can dig up the details of what they've agreed to. I think it's a verbal agreement at this point.
Will you be okay? Yeah. Can you send them the docs, or should you send out a
I can do
letter?
that. I'll do that after.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Maybe tomorrow. I consider like after this meeting. So. Okay. Kate brought up a potential improvement to the book return system we have right now. Kate, you jump on me for getting this wrong, please. But right now, when you have the book return, they come into the entrance of the library, and on weekends they tend to overflow and pile up and wind up on the street or just in the thing, and it's not a pretty thing to look at when you walk in. So her suggestion was to use what is now the Friends donation area as a book drop. And that would require, right now there's a retaining wall and dirt adjacent to that. So we'd have to move the retaining wall, dig up the dirt, put a new retaining wall in, and they put a slot in the sidewall, it's now put in the dirt. That we had, we talked to that at some depth at the building committee meeting, I think about 3 weeks ago. Everybody liked the idea, and everybody wished it had come months ago so that we've had time to get it into the plans. As it is, we have asked the architect, but with those plans being done in 3 weeks now, it's just not going to be feasible to get them in at this point. What we're going to look at is we've asked the architects to give us a proposal to do a design, to update the overall design of the library, and then make an amendment to the bid for that to come out later. And we'll get that proposal on December 3rd as well, and decide then how to proceed. That would be, they had a rough estimate cost of $50,000 to $80,000 to put that in.
And would that space be enclosed so people can't steal the books out of the bin?
Yeah, we have to do it.
And they won't drop 3 feet anymore? Because that's not
Well,
going to
book drops are book drops, it's gonna drop.
It
could be a chute, it doesn't have to.
there might be a chute, but it has to go somewhere.
Right, that's
But there would be a door. So, you walk in right now, and there's this sort of a long rectangular room,
Right,
and there would be a door across the middle of it to the book drop.
so people could steal the books, because that's the other thing.
People couldn't just walk in and take the books.
Yeah, and I think what we really liked about this option is not only did it give us a functional book drop, which has been a problem, I don't know how long, since my first day for sure. But also it gives purpose to that entry, which is one of our main entryways. It's our handicap accessible entryway, and right now none of the space makes much sense. You go to take a corner and you've got to watch out for a container in your way. And so it lets us redefine that space so that when we reopen after the repair project, we're not reopening, with a rubber container in our brand new entryway. And so I think everyone in that group sort of agreed that was kind of the best option. And the only hard part of it is that it did come later than we would have liked it to.
And I think the other thing that puts a thought around is the Friends donations.
So
Like what we're
yep.
gonna do with those.
Yeah, we've got a couple plans in mind.
I figured you did.
One of the things that always worried me about that drop was that, for example, if I'm one of these crazy people who now doesn't like the library, all I have to do is put a little cherry bomb down there, and there's no water things above it, things can catch on fire, and then you have, like it happened to the police department when the lady got arrested the night of the event, and she put her lighter into their closed and there was a fire, and all of them had to evacuate. And,
I can actually answer that. One of the reasons this design is complicated is because you have to put a sprinkler system
oh,
there.
I'm always afraid of fire when I know where the exit is and where the fire is.
Yeah. Let's see, the other minor point is there's, on the lower levels, you come down the ramp, look to the right by the elevator, there's a mural with, I think, an elf and a dragon and some unstacked
Oh,
books and
right.
text. Yeah, and the architect asked whether we wanted to keep that. The building committee said no. We figure it's been there a while. It's not a major historical artifact. If it's not there, then we can ask somebody to paint something else there later to make it out better.
Take a picture.
Yeah, absolutely documented. So that's all the sort of building things. Outreach to, this is me now, outreach is getting pretty important. We need to really start pumping out the info for the March town meeting. And it's good to hear you're actively involved with the foundation. I was going to ask that. One of the things that has come up every other time is what's the foundation going to do? And for the previous project, we hoped that they would try and raise money to handle the furniture, fixtures, equipment, and that stuff, which would be, I added up, it's a little over $900,000 of this cost. So if they, at some point in the failed initiative, a representative of the foundation stood up and said they were going to try and raise X. I think they were going to try and raise $1 million. And if they can do that again, that would be great. And if they can say it, that would help us get the vote. If they can do it, that would help us keep state coming way under budget. So those things would be really good. So let me ask, is there anything the building committee can do? We don't feel like we're the right people to interface with the foundation, we're not the point people, but if there's anything we can do to support the trustees who are the point people, you should let us know.
I will absolutely do that. I think this will be something that we'll have to kind of continue to talk about as things progress. And as I get more information on kind of reinvigorating that group. And yeah, I think this mini golf event will be kind of the first foot in the water for what's to come. But that is my hope, and I know that's Maureen's hope, is that we're able to raise, you know, that $1 million.
Yeah, I think to really make that successful will be the best outreach that we can do going into the March vote.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I think our work is to spread the word as trustees to get people to that event. You know, that's our contribution to that as well, is that we need to be inviting people to that event.
What's the date for the March town meeting?
29th, I believe. I looked that up a couple days ago.
Okay.
Was that
Yes.
no idea?
It doesn't seem
March
to get out
20th is
there
Saturday.
that easily.
Say that again? I missed
It
that.
doesn't seem to get out in publication.
Oh, the date of the town meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's always
late.
hard to.
I know, I
But
bet
last year, they changed the dates from
Yes.
Yeah.
the weekend they usually have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Google
now
it, it will not
2
come up.
weeks past.
So you-
Yeah,
Right.
so it used to be
That's
St. Patrick's
Always
Day,
be
Grand
St.
St.
Patrick's
Patrick's Day.
And then
Yeah.
last year was a week later, and then
Now it's 2 weeks.
now it's
So it's
2
the
weeks.
29th?
Yeah.
So, two other outreach things, these both, I think, small. We, the building committee, have started putting the locations of our minutes and recordings on the agenda, because I keep getting people, what did you do on the November 19th? And now I can just say, it's on the agenda, just go there. When, I haven't checked this yet, but Glenn has put all of our stuff on a playlist. The recordings are all on YouTube.
Yes.
And let's put that, all of our recordings on a playlist, so you can look at it
Yeah,
and see
that was
them
Yes,
all.
we're gonna do the same thing for
For
trustees
trustees.
meetings as well.
Great.
And also, while we're on this subject, minutes and agendas will be right on the town website. If you can, when minutes are,
Sending them, I don't think she's getting them.
okay, I don't think she's getting them because they're not getting put up. If you want
need to
to,
just call.
so what I think would be good, if, when minutes are approved, if you put that they're approved in the corner.
Okay.
And then drop them in the drive, the Google Drive. I created a folder that says approved minutes.
Okay.
And I can make sure that they get to town hall, to the
Yeah.
clerk's office.
I'll look and see, I mean, she's been on them for like,
Yeah, because
The
she said
last
she
2
hadn't
years.
had them since 2023, and I'm
Are
like,
you
that's weird.
serious?
Yeah, no, so I was gonna go through and I'm like, I don't know if these have actually been approved, because
oh my
they're
God, they're just there.
minutes, so yeah, if you can put the
Okay.
date that things
Yeah.
are approved, throw them in that
I'll go
folder.
look and see what's missing.
Yeah, and
I'll
what is
throw
missing,
all in
throw
there
them
and-
all in the folder, and then I can just send that over to town hall, and they will put them up, and they have been.
And
they-
you've done the same for the.
I've done the same for the
I
building.
just sent her back.
Yeah, you sent
Oh,
them back?
this
Yeah,
tonight,
yeah.
Except for this one, oh, great. So then I was like, oh, we'll connect on who's gonna do it.
Right,
so.
right. So if you want to do the same with the
Except for,
LBC
I don't
minutes.
have access to that drive. So after this
Yeah,
meeting,
after
let's
this,
touch
can you-
base, 'cause
yeah, me
I think
too.
it's something I'm doing wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
let's
yeah.
just stay a minute and show us how to
Yep,
do it.
absolutely.
So that we can.
That's easy.
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome.
The other thought I had, was actually yesterday during the select board meeting, we, the library, could volunteer to help with outreach for the recreation department. Because it sounds like that's a concern of theirs, and of course, we see a lot of people that they probably don't see all the people we see.
That was one thing that we talked about today
Yeah.
is engaging the community, that nobody has approached the library to host anything here for
Yeah.
that. And it again speaks to the whole competitive nature of projects
Right.
and
Yeah.
that we shouldn't be
Yeah,
in
and
competition. We should be a partnership.
This is
Be a
better
partnership.
path
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, and it sounds like from the select board meeting yesterday,
Mhm.
it sounds like, maybe it's not fair to say, but it sounds like they're in support of March town meeting, us being the only project up for vote, which I think helps.
yeah,
I think there was definitely a lot
of support for that.
support for that. I don't think everyone's on board with it, but I think they're getting there. So
Yeah.
hopefully that is the outcome of it, because I'm really concerned that if we both go to March town meeting, both will fail.
I 100% Agreed.
And I don't think that's gonna do anybody in this town any good. So we need to like partner together to make a better path forward for both these projects and fiscally most responsible for the town.
Right.
And
Right.
Jen Kirkland, the recreation director, her and I are gonna work on some funny things to do on Westborough TV, and working together and talking about how different our departments are and.
And TikTok?
Oh, don't get me started, Lynn. I was already thinking about TikTok this weekend.
Do you remember the meeting, last night, this is not the last time. One of the gentlemen was sitting closest to Kate, what's her name, the.
Sean.
Kristen.
It was
And I
Sean.
couldn't hear
Sean.
his voice.
Sean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he spoke very quietly. But he did say, and others supported it, that having the library go in first into that building would draw people in and gain support for all the other things to come in. And so it sounded like they were going to make this our issue, the instigator of pulling in all of the support for, I was saying maybe we could have, they approved the dog park.
Dog park.
And I thought, well, maybe we should suggest putting up some bookshelves there. That's the only place we can put the temporary library. Since they were all like, whoa, let's put them down, which is fine. I think it's wonderful to have a place for the dogs.
Just extending your idea, somebody could put a little free library there.
Yes, it would be really cute.
So you're already in contact with Jen Kirkland about that?
Yeah,
Great,
yeah,
okay.
we talked a lot.
Yeah, that might be something, as we get into the future, we do for all the town departments. 'Cause I'm sure a lot of them would say, oh, we'd really love to tell people about this, how can we get the word out? And nobody wants to drive over to the DPW building or something to get that. Yeah. Okay, that's my update.
Thank you. Any questions for Ed? Thank you, as always, for your hard work. We appreciate it. Okay, that brings us to standing agenda items. I don't have the open items list. I can't.
Oh,
I think it's attached to the agenda.
It's not on the agenda.
I'm tired.
That's okay. But it's not in, is it not?
it's not in the
It's
drawer.
not in the drink. There wasn't anything.
I don't think there's anything on
pressing.
it.
Okay.
Everything else is still,
It's
nothing
like
has been updated on it.
Everything that is ongoing.
Fine.
Okay.
That makes that easy. Comment box feedback.
There's no comment.
And what did you guys decide to do? Last meeting, we had talked about maybe changing some signage, and you guys decided on where you were gonna put
We
it.
have not decided.
We have
to-
not decided, it's just been, we've
Back
been
burner.
hanging out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would definitely say, see if you can get someone on putting like trustee signage so that people understand it's a way for them to
Yeah.
communicate with us and not necessarily about telling you if they hate the color of this room.
Yeah.
So, awesome, sounds good. Trustee community outreach, Janine?
Yeah, we're cooking again. So Kate and Ed and I have one booked at the Highlands on December 11th. I might be doing one alone at the Senior Center on December 26th because they called me and said, I have my finger on saved, I'm writing the newsletter right now. Could you do one on December 26th?
On the 26th.
And I said, sure. You know, like, I don't know if anyone else can do it, but I'll do it. Well,
I am hosting a
scheduling
bunch
has,
of people that week.
scheduling has been difficult for them. So now we're going to book January, February, March. We're working on that. So
Yes, I know, I owe you an email about that.
yeah, so I've got emails out. We're figuring that out. And then on January 16th, we're doing one at the Willows. So that will again Kate, Ed, and me. So they'll hear about the repair project of that. And then same way at the Senior Center for those three, January, February, March. And then January, February, March, the first one Kate will do with me because I've been doing 2 a month and she feels she can do 2 a month once. And then after that, she'll just do the housing development ones. And we'll get to have a librarian come with us. So it'll be something new, and each one will have some kind of topic that they want to talk about, and that's how we'll do it. So it'll be cool. Then for February and March, I'm going to contact the Westborough Housing Authority and try to get into 2 of those places for those months. So, you know, the information will be getting out to places about the repair project and about our fabulous library.
Sure, I love those ones. Thank you. And that brings us to library director, assistant director issues.
So I have one. So today, we did get a notice of resignation from one of our staff members. So Lisa Zanni will be leaving us, our circulation manager. We're sad to see her go because she's such a valuable member of our staff and just very visible. Everybody knows Lisa and spends a lot of time at that circulation desk. So we're excited for her next chapter, pun intended, right? Library. But every time you get a vacancy, it's a chance to kind of sit back and say, what do we need in this role? What is coming next? And so just happened today, so we really haven't had a whole lot of time to sit back and say what are the, I mean, I'm very aware of what holes and needs exist within our staffing schedule, but how does this fit within this open position? And so Lynn and I are going to be sitting down and figuring out what does this position look like, what are our hopes and dreams for this position, how did it exist, how should it exist in 2024 and beyond, and so just because of the timing, it's not something that we're able to present to you today with a job description, but we will need this job description, whatever it happens to be, approved by you guys before it moves forward. And the reason I bring it up today is because Lisa's position is one that spends an awful lot of time staffing our service desk, and so when Tony exited, his 16 hours are spent working with the public, so it's felt that way, but it's not on an active service desk in terms of being short-staffed. We will feel Lisa's gaps in the schedule in a big way over the holidays. And so what I don't want to do is take our current job description and fill it because we need a body in the seat, right? I want to make sure we're really getting what the library needs. And so we're going to work as fast as we can to come up with a really stellar job description and some recommendations for what that might look like within our current budget. But we will need you guys to vote on it, and we will probably need it accelerated because it has to go to you guys, it has to go to the select board, and it also has to go to the union and the town manager before we can even post. So I'm also going to sit down with them and we're going to figure out how long we can survive with our current staffing. And let you guys know kind of what that timeline might look like. So I wanted to mention that.
Is this something that we'll want to have a special meeting for to vote on?
Yes, if possible.
Okay.
Would that be Zoom or in person?
Probably soon because it's the season,
Okay.
getting everybody together with a single agenda item.
for lots of meetings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Any questions on that?
All right, the next is library trustee issues. Anybody have any?
Oh, I wanted to tell you about the Eagle Scout and his project. He was granted his Eagle Scout status. The event is at the beginning of December on Saturday the 6th. I think that's the Saturday. And Bernadette and I will be there with all the kids. And we've gotten puppets. One that looks like an Eagle Scout, and the rest of them, I dressed them up like an Eagle Scout with a little banner. So that he'll be there to inaugurate the opening of the puppet theater. So if anyone wants to stop by, please.
You said December 6th?
Yes, I think, isn't that a Saturday?
5th or 6th?
5th, whatever is Saturday.
The 6th.
The 6th, okay. And
No, that's a
the
Friday.
7th.
The 7th.
The 7th, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have my calendar in front of me. Yeah.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Okay. Sorry, do you know what time it is?
It's supposed to be at 11, but I have to check with Bernadette.
And that's here?
Yes, from children's.
Okay. That brings us up to our treasurer's report. The screen is my favorite.
I know, isn't it awesome? It's saving us so much paper.
It really is.
Yeah.
And you can see it's so much bigger than the paper we'll just punch over.
I know. So as you can see, we are pretty much right on track with our spending, and the bottom, library materials.
Repair and maintenance at 70%.
That is where we pay our,
The contracts.
yeah, annual contracts, yes.
Oh, perfect. Yep.
I think you've been having fairly frequent problems with the HVAC systems.
Oh, yeah, we have.
Yeah, I don't think that bill.
We
is
haven't
in
got,
yet.
there are 2 bills that we have not received yet, so
And the water pump?
that's one
That's
of the
part of
bills.
So
Yeah.
do we have a second one yet or not yet?
Yes,
We
it
do.
is.
We have it, we just haven't paid for it yet.
Yes, and we
Is it
have,
installed?
it is installed.
It's
You
installed.
can go check it out, it's beautiful. It
So we're
is.
back to.
So we're back to 2
surviving.
pumps.
Okay.
Now we are down, a computer card failed on the chiller last week. But we don't need that until we need AC. So the hope is that we're out of here before we need AC so that we don't have to pay for that.
Right,
So
right.
I have no idea how much it costs, but I bet it's expensive.
Probably. I don't want to have to go down that road of finding out.
No, I don't know. I already
Find
told him.
out.
He's like, he goes, nope, we'll just shut the chiller off and we don't have to
Okay,
think
great.
about it for now.
So am I right that there are essentially no surprises on here?
There are no surprises.
no
That's
No,
that's a
we're-
good thing.
it is a good thing, yeah.
Knock everything.
Yes, please.
All right, then any questions on this? I will take a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
I so move.
Someone second it? Mike? All in favor? Fantastic. Thank you. Anyone opposed? Officially after that. Great, and then that brings us up to our secretary report.
I was not here at the last meeting,
I
so.
think Kate did mine.
Okay, so we're gonna table that till next month since Kate's not here and then it's not in the draft. Fine. We just caught up amazingly.
Okay.
Okay, Friends and Foundation, we just talked about the foundation.
Yep.
So that's great. Any Friends updates? They did their final books.
Their final book sale, I think it was less than 1,000.
I feel like it was 900.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
good, pretty good for them, for an indoor book sale.
And for the first time, the books that sell in the lobby, upstairs, was at $57.
Oh,
Just the day of the sale outside, I just looked into the president,
Kevin.
and he was telling me that the new system they have, you can't open it as easily, the money's been accumulating, so that was positive.
Well,
Yes.
that's helpful. Excellent. All right, that brings us up to agenda items for next month meeting. I'm anticipating that we will see a job description at that. I'm just gonna look at our next meeting. I believe we have set for December 18th. That's the week before it normally is. And then if needed, if there's any more movement on this before the job description, we'll talk about, you'll get an email about posting it if we need to, so there'll be a new description, so we'll see.
And we're also going to do a budget.
Budget presentation in December.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Anything else? LBC update, Ms. Shaw. All right, fabulous. Any other questions? Then at 8:16, I will take a motion to adjourn.
No, we adjourn.
Seconded by Janine, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you so much, and thank you, Westborough TV, as usual.
I just have something I want to